In 1960, an expedition set out to explore the rocky and rugged coast of Newfoundland. Led by Helge Ingstad and Anne Stein, the team combed through every nook and cranny of the island, searching for any sign of human habitation. They were looking for proof that Norse explorers had landed here more than 500 years before Christopher Columbus. And they weren't just looking, they were digging. They carefully excavated every site, collected thousands of artifacts, and left the island with more questions than answers. But, upon returning home, their findings would shock the world. Today, we will discover what they found at Lanceau Meadows and why it is one of the most important archaeological sites in history. The year is 1000 AD, and the Vikings are at the height of their exploration. In less than a century, they have established settlements all around the North Atlantic, and now their sights are set on the New World. Sailing west from the tip of Greenland, Norse explorers had caught sight of land. Bards sang tales of a distant paradise filled with forests of wheat and vines that grew heavy with ripe fruit. They called this mystical realm Vinland. For 4 generations, Vikings traveled to Vinland, establishing a settlement in Newfoundland and trading with the local natives. But by the end of the 12th century, all contact with Vinland had been lost, and its location became nothing more than a legend. For hundreds of years, historians debated whether or not the sagas describing Vinland were based in reality. Some scholars believed that Vinland didn't exist at all, and that the Norse had never set foot in North America. Others argued that there was truth behind the myths and that Vinland was a real place. It was up to archaeologists like Helge Ingstad and Anne Stein to find the truth. The search began in the mid-1950s when Norwegian explorer and historian Ingstad traveled to Canada to study the possibility of a Norse presence in North America. After combing through historical records and studying maps, he decided to focus his search on the island of Newfoundland, which roughly matched written descriptions of the location of Vinland. He assembled a team of fellow historians and archaeologists, and together they launched an expedition to explore the island's rugged coastline. Their journey took them along cliffs and coves where the ocean roared and crashed against the shore. Days turned into weeks as the team examined every possible site, meticulously recording their findings. All the while, they scoured the landscape for anything that might suggest human habitation. But it wasn't until 1960 that the pieces of the puzzle finally fell into place. On July 14th, Anne Stein discovered a piece of material that looked strangely like a textile fragment. As she brushed away the dirt and rock, a pattern emerged, a series of parallel lines running across the fabric. She realized that she was looking at a piece of a rope that had been used to fasten planks of wood together. This was no ordinary rope. It was a Norse rope made in the traditional style known as langskip, or longship weaving. This style of rope was not only unique to the Norse, but had only been used for a few centuries, precisely during the time period when the Vikings were exploring and settling in Greenland and North America. At that moment, Anne knew that they had found something truly special. The discovery of the rope sent a thrill of excitement through the team. Could this be the link they had been searching for? To confirm their suspicions, they analyzed the type of plant fiber used to make the rope. Further tests revealed that the plant was a species of nettle, which grew abundantly in Scandinavia during the Viking Age. But it wasn't just the rope. As the team continued to excavate, they unearthed other artifacts that pointed to a Norse presence. Among them were a variety of metal objects, including a large iron cauldron, a small brooch, and several knives. Each item was crafted in the distinctive style of Viking Age metalwork. It was as if the Vikings themselves had reached back in time to show the archaeologists exactly who they were. And then there was the soil. Analysis of the soil around the structures revealed traces of materials that could only have come from Scandinavia, such as high levels of phosphorus and low levels of calcium. These markers were consistent with the types of soils found in Norway and Sweden, but virtually absent in North America. The evidence was mounting and the team was on the verge of a major breakthrough, but they needed more proof, more tangible evidence that could leave no doubt in the minds of skeptics. What they needed was a ship. The team continued to explore the area, hoping to find some trace of a Norse vessel. And then, in 1961, their luck changed. They stumbled upon the remains of a boat nestled in the soft mud of a shallow bay. It was partially buried, as if the earth itself was trying to hide its secrets. As the archaeologists carefully uncovered the boat, its true scale became apparent. It was a large vessel, measuring nearly 35 feet in length. Its ribs and planks were crafted from the sturdy wood of oak trees, the same type of wood used in the construction of Viking longships. But this was no ordinary boat. It was a Norse ship, a ship that had sailed the seas over 1,000 years ago. It was as if the Vikings themselves had risen from their graves to show the world their skills in shipbuilding. With each passing day, more and more artifacts were unearthed. There were tools for woodworking, weapons for hunting, and even personal items like combs and tweezers. The team had uncovered a treasure trove of Viking artifacts, each one a piece of a larger puzzle that was slowly coming together. But perhaps the most intriguing find was a small workshop located near the boat. Inside, the team discovered a furnace and anvil that had been used for metalworking. It was clear that the Norse had not only visited Vinland, they had lived here, building boats, crafting tools, and forging weapons. Finally, the missing piece of the puzzle fell into place. The team had discovered all the pieces of evidence pointing to a Norse settlement in Vinland. But the question remained, why did the Norse abandon their settlements in North America? According to the sagas, the Norse settlers faced constant conflict with the native population. As the two cultures clashed, the violence escalated until the Norse were forced to flee. But there may have been another reason for their departure. As the Norse explored further inland, they may have encountered the vast wilderness of North America and realized that the land was not as bountiful as they had hoped. Without the resources they needed to sustain themselves, the Norse were forced to return to their settlements in Greenland and Iceland. Whatever the reason, the Norse abandoned their settlements in Vinland, and the saga of Vinland faded into legend. After the expedition, the artifacts and evidence were brought back to Norway for further analysis. The public was astounded by what had been found. It was clear that the Norse had not only visited Vinland, they had settled there for several years. But the story doesn't end there. In recent years, new discoveries have shed even more light on the Norse presence in North America. In 2013, archaeologists uncovered the remains of another Norse settlement in Unsolved Meadows. The settlement was much larger than the first, with over a dozen buildings and a population of up to 1,000 people. The discovery suggests that the Norse may have attempted to establish a permanent colony in North America. But, like their predecessors, they eventually abandoned their settlement and returned home. Today, Unsolved Meadows National Historic Site commemorates the first European settlement in North America. Visitors can explore the reconstructed buildings, learn about the Norse way of life, and see the artifacts that were unearthed during the excavations. What do you think about the lost colony of Vinland? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more exciting content. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.